Hey all you submariners out there, this is Matt, and welcome to episode number 16 of my Cold Waters Elite difficulty playthrough. So far we spent 101 days at war, sunk a total of 169 vessels, and a total tonnage of 1,016,990 tons. So we finally reached the target that I set myself at the beginning of this campaign of 1,000,000 tons. I'm not going to waste any more time avoiding missions or anything like that. I'm going to take all the missions as they come now, and hopefully be able to end this campaign sooner rather than later. The current mission is a TLAM mission, so I'm going to fire 8 missiles at a target. The target is in Murmansk, so that's where we're heading right now, up the coast of Norway, skirting the coast of Norway, trying to avoid all of these encounter groups, also trying to avoid that MPA aircraft, so I kind of back off for a second just to make sure that I stay out of its vision. I come around the horn here and closing on Murmansk. Looks like I just missed the surface group coming out of that direction, so lucky me. These missions do not allow you to close to less than 25,000 yards or anything like that. Pretty much you just you have to click all hands man battle stations and it starts you at the same place. So as I approach, I'm going to load all 4 tubes with the Tomahawk land attack missiles and then engage combat. My technique for these TLAM missions
for ultra quiet
may not be the most exciting. Sometimes it is. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it works out that way, but most times when you do it the way that I do it, you don't really encounter any difficulties per se. What I do is set a course towards the marker where I need to launch the missiles. So it would be like that, the little round circles. I just head in that direction. I go either 5 or 10 knots, and then I speed up time and leave it in that state for a few minutes, just to get a better idea of where the bottom is along that course that I'm heading. I keep an eye on the bottom so that I'm not surprised when it's time to come back for the next part of the mission. So I'm heading course 195. Then once I get to the point where I feel like I've gone far enough, I turn 180 degrees, head right back the way that I came.
Steady course.
Once I'm on that course that I've picked, which is more or less 180 degrees from where I came, then I fire the missiles at the waypoint.
Aye, sir.
So I'll fire all 4 of them.
Shoot 2-2. Aye, sir. Shoot 2-3. Aye, sir.
So we have all 4 missiles on the way. Then I'm going to adjust my depth to go back down to about 350 feet.
Make depth 350 feet. Dive high.
Which is about all I can expect here with the bottom being at 444. That gives me just enough wiggle room. Then I reload the tubes.
Make turns for 3.
And as I'm waiting for them to reload, I will speed up time, and also I'm cavitating. I don't mind doing that so much here. I'd rather be moving at high speed in case they drop something on me and I can start evading right away. So I don't mind. So once those tubes are reloaded and I'm back up near the surface, I like to be around 100 feet and moving at no more than 5 or 6 knots. I will be able to fire the next 4, which will be the last 4. So there's 8 total for this mission.
Sonar regained contact on.
I do have a couple of contacts around me, but I believe they're merchant ships, which I don't really have to worry about a whole lot. So I'm going to fire off the next 4 missiles.
3. Aye, sir. Shoot 2-4. Aye, sir.
I'm going to get back down to 350 feet, maybe a little bit more since the depth here is 511.
400 feet. Dive high.
Reload the tubes with my normal weapons, which would be 3 torpedoes and 1 tomahawk, and 1 harpoon. Sorry. So I'll reload them like that, and then we'll speed up time a little bit more here.
Bearing 075. Contact faded.
Now here I'm trying to take a look at the tomahawks as they go in, but because it's a night mission, I can't really see much of anything. Unfortunately, doesn't make for very compelling video. But you can kind of see the sky in the background, and what have you. So now I'm getting the right over the conditions tab here. I'm getting the update that the weapons are homing on land target, which means the first 4 missiles that I fired have reached that circle and have their internal guidance is taken over. Now they're heading towards the target. Now I've switched back to the weapon view, and you see weapons 5 through 8 are now going to be homing on the land target very soon. Once again, you can't see a whole lot because it's the middle of the night, not even a moon or anything to light the way. But once weapon number 8 homes on the land target, you can actually leave this mission. The mission is over. I'm going to stick around a little bit longer to just try to get an idea of what it looks like at the end. Somewhat, yeah, there's an explosion. It's like a tank farm, like an oil tank farm or something like that. It's just at Murmansk, it's a port facility, so we just hit their fuel tanks or whatever. You can see some fires here and there from the previous missiles, and that's pretty much it for this land attack mission. Not a whole lot of excitement involved. You just launch the missiles and evade anything that comes your way. In this case, that was nothing. On. So you can see there were a number of ships available, but I ignored them all because I don't believe that it's in my best interest to get all distracted trying to sink those ships when my real goal is to fire the missiles at Murmansk or whatever the target happens to be. So I focus on that. So once that mission's over and done with, we get a new one, which is a Wolfpack of cruise missile submarines trying to break out into the North Atlantic. I'm going to have to leave the Murmansk area, go all the way across the Barents Sea, all the way across the Norwegian Sea. And, oh, see, I was able to deke out that MPA. And I'm once again going to skirt the coast of Norway on the way down to avoid any of these groups that might be in my area. We get a note on the way down that looks like Warsaw Pact politicians or what have you are asking for peace talks. I think it's because we're hurting them pretty bad right now. As you can see, there's nothing on the map that's red anymore. All the tanks are blue, so we have all the territory here in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, West Germany. All those places are under Allied control. So I'm going to place myself on the west side of the SOSUS array to intercept submarines as they come through. So there's the target right there. It's going to be passing quite close to Scotland. Sonar contact bearing 106. Our heading is 154, so it'll be off to our left by about 50 degrees. Make sure that our tubes are loaded close to 15,000 yards, and then initiate combat here. Initiate the encounter.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
We have no contacts when we start the mission. We're at 50 feet, and the floor is at 333. We definitely do not have a lot of water to work with here. We were in the shallows.
0 feet, dive by.
I'm going to go as deep as I dare here in these conditions. So 250 feet or so. Make it to 250 feet without a contact, and then get one almost right away. I'm going to classify this. It's a submarine for sure, and we expect to run into
sonar, Sierra 1.
We expect to run into a cruise missile sub, and Sierra 1 shows up as an Oscar, so that makes sense considering what we're expecting on this mission. I'm going to set a course towards the Oscar. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time here. We've got a 50% solution already. He's showing it about 12,000 yards. A little bit less than that. So I'm going to get into position to shoot. And with an Oscar, you need 2 weapons. So I'll get them going here real soon. I'll fire them both at the same time.
Shoot 2-1. Aye, sir.
Might as well.
Shoot 2-2.
Con sonar, Sierra 1.
He starts to ping me with sonar immediately and starts to cavitate, so clearly he has heard. So fast forward here to when the weapons are arriving. You see they're just one right behind the other. Does not appear like he's trying to maneuver or anything right now. He's at 5 knots or below. Didn't release a noisemaker. Didn't try to speed up or anything. So, and the two weapons hit within seconds of one another.
090. Contact breaking up.
Easy enough. That's it for the Oscar. I stick around for a little bit longer, just in case there happens to be some sort of escort. And meanwhile, I'm reloading the tubes while I'm doing that, but there does not appear to be anybody else around. So I'll end this engagement here. No other vessels nearby, and the Oscar was the only one on this engagement. The Admiral was happy with that, and we'll move on and get the next mission after reading the newspaper article. It's a tanker tender mission, sailing from Murmansk somewhere in the Greenland Sea. So it took a little while for this group to show up and a little while for me to actually get back around to it. So I skipped ahead a little bit here. Now I'm moving into position, avoiding the MPA, avoiding any other groups there. I believe I see that that tanker tender group moving up in my direction, so I put myself in a position to intercept them, and they come right to me. Bearing 53, our heading is 101, so we're looking at about 50 degrees to the left. Make sure all the tubes are loaded, close to 15,000 yards, and engage the encounter.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
I have 3 contacts right off the bat. Because they're probably surface contacts, I'm going to go up to, I'm already at periscope depth, but I'm going to go to 45 feet and use my ESM mast and periscope to get a better idea of what I'm dealing
Raise the
with.
ESM mast. Dive at 4-5 feet. Dive by. Upscope.
Looks like the electronic emissions we're picking up here are below the detection threshold, but once again, that doesn't usually affect. It doesn't usually affect my tactics or strategies at all here, whether it is or not. I'm trying to mark these targets. The first one gave me a bit of a hard time. The second one, right off the bat, was fine, and the third one as well. Now that I have good information on them, good solutions on them, I can decide what I want to do. They're all pretty far away. I'm going to dive first just above the layer, and now I've classified all 3 of the contacts. I feel confident shooting at them. Also, once I've turned in the proper orientation, pretty much pointing ahead of that Master 1, the Krivac. We've got a Krivac, Grisha 3, and the tender is the Ugra.
Con, helm.
We'll fast forward to when Weapon 1 is closing in on the Krivac. I wasn't planning on shooting at the Ugra right away, but he is heading in my direction, and I had a harpoon loaded already, and since he does not have any defensive weapons to speak of, or anti-missile weapons, I felt like shooting the harpoon was the thing to do. The harpoon's heading in, and meanwhile I'm watching the Krivac, which is off to the left here. I'm hoping to catch the moment of the torpedo exploding, which I just managed to sneak in there. So that's it for the Krivac, and now I can focus back on the Ugra, which has just appeared on the right-hand side of the screen and moving in towards the middle as the harpoon approaches. Alright, so that was it for the Ugra. 1 harpoon is enough for that.
Contact breaking up.
I believe the Grisha, sonar reclassified where the Grisha is, but I believe it's farther away than that, actually.
Raise the radar mast.
I'm gonna get a new bearing by using the radar mast, which shows me that it's still a little bit beyond where the Krivac and the Ugra are, but definitely heading in my direction. With that information, I can make a better decision on how to engage. For now, I'm just going to hold off until it gets a little bit closer. Once it starts to approach a little bit more where the Krivac and the Ugra went down, I finally feel like I'm comfortable shooting, especially since the Grisha is now 20,000 yards or less away. which means that even if he turns around now and heads directly in the other direction, the weapon should still be able to reach him. I'll speed up time here as the weapon heads out that way, and then skip ahead to the point where it has engaged and is moving in on the target. On the first pass, it goes a little bit low and misses, so we're going to watch it go back around again. Yeah, this Grisha 3 was actually quite adept at avoiding this torpedo, evading it, but that lasts so long. It finally does come around and hits him near the front, near the bow, right where that sonar, the protruding sonar dome is, and that's it for the Grisha 3. We'll reload to that tube, and that should be the end of this engagement. I stick around for a little bit longer, but there's nobody else in the area, so we'll leave combat. There was actually a November around there somewhere, but I did not find him. He looks like he snuck away, and that's fine. I'm not gonna split hairs over one old ass nuke boat, that's for sure. Alright, the next mission is a Spetznaz team. Looks like they'll be dropped off in the Iceland area. Believe we're looking at Hoffen, which is in the south of Iceland. Call that the tropical zone of Iceland in the south there. Once again here, waiting for that group to show up was a little bit long, so I put an edit in there to speed things up a little bit. Contact bearing 210, our heading's 147. So we're looking at about 70-ish, 65, 70 degrees. So at the start of this mission, we had contact Sierra 1. We lost contact and then regained it right away. A little bit strange, but there you go. I'll classify the target right away. Looks like a Victor 1
is classified as submerged submarine.
Since this is a Spetznaz mission, the Victor 1 would be the escort, and I expect to find another diesel electric sub at some point, which would actually be carrying
lost contact. Sierra
the team
1,
of Commandos.
2, 1, 3, contact faded.
I've turned to head in the direction of the Victor 1, which means that I won't be able to use my towed array on him, but I'd like to close the distance if at all possible, because it looks like he's a good 30. It looked like we had him at about good 35,000 yards away.
Make turns for 5 knots. Maneuvering eye. Con sonar switching to active search.
Even though it's a very quiet environment right now, I'm having a hard time picking up any contacts, which means they're probably far away. I'm using the active sonar as always as a way to possibly find another target if they're around, but mostly just to use as bait, trying to get these guys to engage. So I'll ping 3 or 4 times.
Con sonar switching to passive search.
Hoping for a response. And nothing this time around, so we'll keep trying.
Turns for con sonar, we are cavitating.
Then I decide I'm going to start cavitating on purpose, hoping once again to bait anybody around into a shot, to give away their position.
Steady course.
It's been 300 feet and at flank, just trying to cavitate on purpose. Finally, we do get one ping of sonar and also get an indication that somebody fired a torpedo in our direction.
5 knots.
So I fired a torpedo in the direction that I saw the enemy torpedo coming from, and also in the general direction of where I saw the sonar ping come from, even though I still don't have a contact. That's close enough for me, especially since I'm able to keep the wire for now. I set the weapon to active homing, then activate the weapon soon after launching it.
Sonar, new contact bearing 2.
And that's good enough to get
zero,
whatever
2.
target is out here to actually reveal itself.
Weapon acquired.
Looks like that is the diesel sub carrying the Spetznaz Commandos.
Sonar lost contact. Sierra 2. Last bearing 2.
It was a Foxtrot.
0. Contact breaking up.
And now that it's gone, that's pretty much it for the mission, although I'm going to stick around to get the Victor 1, but we could leave now if he wasn't around, because that would satisfy the mission objectives. There's a torpedo ahead of me in the general direction where I'm heading. And then decide I'm going to take a speculative shot here in the last known direction of Sierra 1, just in case he's still there. It's possible, so I decide, well, it's better than nothing, I guess. So that's weapon number 2 heading in that direction. Then I get an active sonar ping from the east. I immediately steer the torpedo in that direction. I also get a notice of a launch transient, so I could expect incoming fire here soon. But I do not want to do anything drastic right now. I'd like to keep the wire if possible, considering I really don't know exactly where it is. So there is some debate here as to whether or not Sierra 1 is far away where it seems right now, or a bit closer. Sonar keeps putting him far and then close and then back again here, so I'm doing my best to keep the weapon moving in the right direction. I can see him off to the left, but I'm not going to steer in that direction without knowing that he's there, without any sort of sonar indication that he's there. That would be cheating. I won't do that, so I'll keep it moving in the direction that I have it pointed right now.
Make turns for 3. Con sonar, we are cavitating.
Right before I have to finally go to flank to avoid this torpedo, sonar updates with a range and bearing that seems to make a little bit more sense going by what we know. So I believe this change in course of the torpedo should finally get it moving in the right direction, and just in time as well for the wire to break. Now the torpedo is on its own, and I'm going to focus on avoiding this one heading in my way.
Con sonar lost contact. Sierra 1, last bearing.
I have evaded the torpedo the Victor shot at me, and now I'm watching the one that I shot at the Victor close in and finally hit it somewhere towards the stern.
093, contact breaking up.
And that's enough to take down a Victor 1 for sure. Now I'm quite confident that that would be the last. That would be the last target on this engagement, so we'll back out, and there was only the 2, the Victor 1 and the Foxtrot. Be congratulated by the Admiral. Another newspaper article for my scrapbook, and now we're looking at a wolf pack of enemy cruise missile subs sailing from Murmansk, trying to transit the Denmark Strait. Now the torpedo tubes are all loaded. I'm almost at the Denmark Strait anyway, so getting here in place is not going to be an issue. I should be there within the next 10 seconds. And then after that, it's just a matter of sitting and waiting. Once again, I'm going to skip ahead because there is a little bit of waiting involved, just to skip out the long, just to cut out the long wait. You can see them approaching and running it for me. Contact bearing 82. Our heading is 30, so it would be 50 degrees or so off to the right, close to 15,000 yards, and engage.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
We have 2 targets right off the bat, Sierra 1 and Sierra 2. I'll classify them both. One of them's got to be a cruise missile sub. Looks like a Victor. Or a Victor variant. So that was the Charlie 2, which is a Victor variant.
Submarine.
And the next one is going to be a Victor 2 maybe.
Con sonar, Sierra 2 is classified as submerged submarine.
Updated range for the Sierra 1 places it pretty close, so I'm going to turn in that direction and shoot as soon as possible.
Shoot 2-1. Aye, sir.
The Charlie 2 just under 11,000 yards, and the Victor 2 is a fair distance farther back than that, but I'm also going to put a weapon in that direction. The Victor 2 starts to ping me right away after I launch, so we know he heard. Still no sign from the Charlie 2.
Con, helm, steady course.
I've activated weapon 1, and I'm steering it to make sure that it goes, gives me the best chance possible of acquiring the Charlie 2. I'm going to do the same thing with weapon number 2. Get the Victor 2 right in the middle of the acquisition cone there. And we'll skip ahead to when, well, both weapons have acquired now. So there goes the Charlie 2. I was focused on the Victor 2 because I believe that to be more of a threat. So I was focusing on that one to make sure that the weapon struck home. And meanwhile, the Charlie 2 was sunk by the weapon I shot in that direction.
Con sonar lost contact.
And that's it for the Victor 2.
Last bearing 051. Contact breaking up.
We'll watch it sink out for a little bit and then back out of this engagement. And that's it. There was the Charlie 2 and the Victor 2. Alright, so looks like the next mission is going to be another TLAM mission. I believe this would be a great time for me to put in another cut in the video. So we're gonna head back. Before we do that, though, I'm gonna head back to Holy Lock, reload the torpedo room with the TLAMs I need for the mission. So we grab 8 of those, fill up. I need one more harpoon to give me the 4 that I usually take, and the rest will all be Mark 48 torpedoes. And that's loaded up. We're gonna cast off, anchors away. We'll save the game here and head back to the summary screen. So we spent 114 days at war so far, sunk 177 vessels overall for a total tonnage of 1,068,390 tons. So I'm going to put a cut in it here. Once again, the next day or two, I'll drop another video. Until then, thanks for stopping by and have a great day.